Hey guys, what is up? This is Quackware again. After my last tutorial about reading and writing files, I decided to create a cool little, or like about to create a cool little project that just to show you like something basic, very basic that you can use with reading and writing files, and also with a STL, which stands for Standard Template Library structure called a vector. Now, a vector is basically, if you know what arrays are in any other sort of language, vectors are very similar to arrays, except they can change in size. And if you don't know what an array it is just basically like some sort of structure that can hold multiple like data values. So say like multiple integers or multiple strings, basically in like a structure where one comes after the other. And an array is usually fixed size, so say it can only hold 5 strings in this one structure. A vector is cool because you can pretty much hold like a very large amount, and it'll auto resize for you, so you never really have to worry about sizing. And if you go to this C++.com reference, you can kind of read up on vector. It's probably the most used and the most basic of the standard template library like containers. You can see it has all these different things that you can do with it. We're going to probably be going over some of the more advanced things like iterators and some of the other stuff in here a little bit later. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and write something very basic with it. So in order to actually use vector, you have to do an include statement. So include vector. And we're also going to be using strings, so let's go ahead and include that. And of course our input from command line, and we're also going to include, because we're going to be reading from a file. So file stream, input output stream, string, and vector. Again, I have the same in.txt file from the other one. And we're going to go ahead and write probably about the same code that we did before, where we have, let's see, using namespace standard. We have an if stream in.txt. I don't think we'll use an output stream this time, but let's do a string line. And we'll do while get line in line. So this is pretty much what we did in the previous tutorial, just written up right here. But what we're going to be doing, actually, let's not do getLine. Let's do something with words, where we just basically store all of the. We'll start out with like a very basic thing where we just store it all into one. We read it in a word at a time. So basically, what's going to start out with, we are going to use the shift operator, or basically like outputting from into this word, kind of like how we did getLine. But what this will do is it'll do any white space delimited character in. So like the first time we call it, it'll come from in and store into word the word the, and then it'll store overall, and then body, and then plan, blah 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 blah. So we can basically loop this so it continues to read word in over and over again. So just go ahead and do while in word, and of course this will also fail when we can't actually store anything like word, just kind of like getLine did in the previous tutorial. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a vector of strings that'll store each of these words that we've read in. So let's go ahead and have the way we read it is vector, and then we do open close greater than less than sign, or less than greater than sign. And what we put in here is what this vector stores. So again, we could do something like vector int, and then now we can store ints in there. But it's based on what's put in this open close kind of like pointy brackets. It's basically what data type is being stored in this vector. So we are reading in a word, so of course we're going to be using a string with our string vector. So in order to add something in there, we can do string vector dot push back, and what it will do is it'll add this word to the back of like all this list. So say we have like the as our first one, so that gets pushed back, and then the next one that gets pushed back is overall. So then basically think of it like this overall, and then after that it'll be body. Now this separation is basically, let's do, because I don't like using these little arrows because that usually means something else when you talk about structures. But say this is like the first string that's being stored, the second string that's being stored, the third string that's being stored. When you call pushback, it adds it to the end of this list every single time. So now that we've basically added all these things to string vector, we can do whatever we want with them. We can like count them, we can like see what the size is. So let's go ahead and just do this, the number of words in this, I guess, paragraph, is it? We can basically use this string vector. And remember when we looked at that C++ reference, you could see all the things that you can ask it, and say we do dot, and let's do size. So that'll print basically the size of like how many words are in this whole thing. And let's go ahead and just print out the whole thing again. So int I equals 0, I does not equal string vector dot size. I guess no, we wouldn't do. I'm sorry, I'm used to writing it with iterators instead of accessing it directly, since iterators, which we'll cover later, is pretty much the preferred way to do this. And then we can index it directly, just like arrays, with this I. And let's just say we want to get rid of all the spaces. So what will happen is these strings will all be kind of mashed together with no spaces when we actually output them. And let's say return 1. Let's build. Actually, no, it'll print them one per line. They won't all get mashed together. So let's go ahead and run this. Let's go all the way up to the top. So there are 228 words in the paragraph. So look at that. That's pretty cool. You've already written something that can do a word count, say on Microsoft Word. Cool. That's what you just wrote. And you've been able to print out all these different words that are in it. And what's it complaining about here? Sign and unsigned. Those are things that we'll learn later. But it's a bit picky with this string vector size. But all right, I think that's probably pretty good for this exercise. I think I'll do one more kind of string vector exercise after this, and then we'll move on to something else. But that's it for this tutorial. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, whatever YouTube stuff it is you want to do. And Squawker signing out.